everyone. This is video number 8, and I am continuing my discussion on how to teach students how to play a beautiful two-note slur. As I said previously, the two-note slur I consider the mother of all artistry, because you can hear how a student has been taught by how graceful the two-note slur is, what their physical gestures look like when you watch them play a two-note slur. And in this way, students can play all 2- and 3-note slurs, as well as they can taper every phrase, because they're really listening to themselves play. So as I said before, we want our students to drop to the bottom of the key and then roll forward and off the key. They roll forward at the exact same time that they play the second note. And that's what creates the louder sound compared to the quieter second sound. All right, as I said before, there are many different kinds of students. The first student is the one who really can play two-note slurs beautifully, and this takes time to teach. It takes time. Don't ever give up on your students. There are other students that I consider them hitters, and they think that they are dropping to the bottom of the key, but they're actually locking their wrist and they're hitting the keys. So this either note doesn't sound good at all. It's very unattractive. So we definitely want our students to play, how about in 2 different tempos, so that they can really get the idea of that physical gesture, dropping and rolling. And then once they have that, they can play at a faster speed. That particular piece is called Dutch Clog Dance. It's in Energize Your Fingers Every Day, Book 2A, which is a perfect complement to all methods, but especially to succeeding at the piano, because you know I'm always concentrating on how musical our students can be, as well as what great technique they can use in their piano playing. So how does the sound, we should ask our students, what is the sound like? So that they always are listening to the difference between the 2 sounds. And we can also ask them, how does it feel when you're playing these 2-note slurs? And they might say something like, oh yeah, I feel a heaviness in the first note and then a lightness in the second note. Okay, so now let's go ahead and take a look at Russian folk song by Ludwig van Beethoven. Do you know that 2020 is the 250th anniversary of his birth? So we should give all of our students Beethoven pieces to work on. So this Russian folk song is in Festival Collection Book 2. And in this particular piece, the 2-note slurs are in the left hand as well as the right hand. So let's take a look at the left hand. 4 notes in a row and then another set of 2-note slurs. Da, da, da. So we can make a practice strategy out of this. Let's have the first note in the left hand be for 3 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, why do I do this nice practice strategy? So that students can see themselves playing on the outside tip of their thumbnail, right, and not on the flat side of their thumb. They can also see that nice letter C between fingers 1 and 2. They can look at their 4 hills, which I create so that students have fun with looking at their 4 knuckles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, and we can do the same thing with our right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, da, 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 da. And then go ahead and put it in the rhythm that Beethoven calls for. Now each note of the staccato notes are at a different space above the keys. Do you notice that? Each time I play a different staccato note, I'm higher up in this space. Wonderful folk song. You'll notice at the end of the piece, I have the students come up with their wrist on their 3rd finger, which is their longest finger, so that they can drop on the accented note. Let's take a look now at the Allemande in E-flat major. This is by Carl Maria von Weber, who is one of the most important composers of the Romantic era. And this is in Festival Collection Book 4. This lovely Allemande has 2-note slurs in the right hand. And you notice there's an alto line also within that 2-note slur. So it really fills out the harmony. And then the next section is different. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then it goes back to that lovely main theme. So, you know, I have a student who was a real hitter in 2-note slurs. So you know what I had her do? The right hand went over the left hand when she was playing scales. So what does that do for a student who really locks their wrist too much? It makes the left hand and the wrist and the forearm drop even lower than they're used to. And they have to slow down so that they really think about that dropping and rolling motion. We were doing it in all different keys. And when she played her Haydn Sonata out of Festival Collection Book 6, she won the Scholarship of the Year award in our city. So she really, really learned how to play those 2-note slurs. All right, so now let's go ahead for our last piece in this video. I'd like to play for you Canon in D by Pachelbel. And you'll notice that these 2-note slurs are in every era, from the Baroque era through classical, romantic, and 20th, 21st century. That's why I call the 2-note slur the mother of all artistry. So this particular piece is in an arrangement style by Timothy Brown, and it's found in the recital book of Succeeding at the Piano, grade 5. I think I'm going to put on my piano playing glasses. I should have had them on before. This Canon in D starts off with wonderful pedal tones in the left hand and 3-note slurs in the right hand. You'll notice the very last note of the 3-note slur has a tapering sound to it, so it's much quieter than the other 2 notes. And the second note, how about if you listen to it and tell me what you hear? Right, there's a little bit of a swell to it, right? All right, then we have double thirds. As legato as possible. We have our 2-note slurs. So notice, if I came up too quickly on the 2-note slurs, it would be too lively, right? Too buoyant. And then the arm goes straight up, and it just looks hilarious at the keyboard, right? But since this piece has this feeling of complete sustaining sound, right? As if our students are looking at a vast landscape, or they're looking at a sailboat on the lake, right? We want to make sure that both notes of the 2-note slur are long. So you notice the second note is always gentle in that 2-note slur, but my hand stays really close to the keys so that there is a good sustaining of the sound. So I'm going to talk more about 2-note slurs because there's so many different sounds that we can create from them. So stay tuned for the next video. Happy teaching.